I'll never forget the night I first stumbled upon the idea for our podcast, exploring abandoned places and ancient aliens. It was a typical Wednesday evening, and my friends, Alex and Maddie, were over at my place, brainstorming ways to make our passion project a reality. We'd all been fascinated by urban legends and abandoned places since childhood, and the concept of delving into the darker corners of human history had always captivated us. As we tossed around ideas, I mentioned a local legend about an ancient city hidden beneath New Orleans, a place known only as the Hollow. The story went that this forgotten metropolis was said to be filled with unspeakable horrors and twisted relics from a bygone era. At first, we dismissed it as mere myth, but the more we talked, the more intrigued I became. Alex, ever the skeptic, raised an eyebrow, while Maddie's eyes sparkled with excitement. It was then that I knew we had to make this podcast a reality. We spent the next few weeks researching, poring over dusty books and crumbling documents, trying to uncover any shred of evidence linking the Hollow to our current world. The more we learned, the more convinced I became that we were onto something big. As we prepared to embark on this journey, I couldn't shake the feeling that we were being watched, that unseen eyes were upon us, waiting to see if we'd uncover the secrets hidden beneath the Hollow. Little did we know, those eyes would soon become all too real. I still remember the day we stumbled upon the ancient map, tucked away in a dusty archive room deep within the New Orleans Public Library. The air was thick with the scent of old parchment and decay as Alex expertly navigated the narrow aisles, his eyes scanning the shelves for any sign of what we were looking for. Maddie and I trailed behind him, our footsteps echoing off the stone walls. We'd been searching for weeks, poring over every book and document we could find on the Hollow, but nothing had prepared us for this. Alex stopped abruptly in front of a shelf, running his fingers over the spines of the ancient texts. His hand hesitated, as if he'd stumbled upon something more than just old books. I followed his gaze to a tattered leather tome, adorned with strange symbols and markings that seemed to shift in the dim light. The cover was worn, cracked, and faded, but it looked like it had been untouched for centuries. Alex carefully opened the book, revealing yellowed pages filled with intricate drawings and cryptic notations. It was an ancient map, detailing a network of tunnels and passageways that seemed to lead deep beneath the city. The symbols etched into the parchment appeared to be some sort of language, one that none of us could decipher. As we pored over the map, a shiver ran down my spine. This was it, the proof we'd been searching for. We knew then that the Hollow existed, and that we had stumbled upon something much bigger than ourselves. But as I gazed deeper into the map, I couldn't shake the feeling that we were being watched, that the map itself was warning us to turn back while we still could. We spent the next few days studying the map, trying to decipher the symbols and notations. It was like unraveling a puzzle, with each new discovery leading us further down the rabbit hole. Finally, we decided it was time to take our findings to the surface. We packed our gear, cameras, notebooks, flashlights, and a plethora of other equipment, and set out to explore the entrance to the Hollow. The location was shrouded in mystery, with only a few cryptic clues to guide us. According to the map, we'd find ourselves standing at the edge of an abandoned lot, surrounded by crumbling buildings and overgrown vegetation. It was a desolate stretch of land, devoid of life and energy. As we made our way through the lot, the air grew thick with an eerie silence. No birds sang, no insects buzzed. It was as if nature itself had been silenced. We reached the edge of a large stone wall, covered in moss and ivy, which seemed to loom over us like sentinels. The entrance was marked by two massive stone pillars, adorned with ancient carvings that depicted strange rituals and human sacrifices. I felt a shiver run down my spine as we stepped through the archway and into the unknown. The air inside was musty and stale, filled with the scent of decay and rot. We took turns shining our flashlights around the entrance, revealing a narrow corridor lined with cobweb-covered stone walls. It was like stepping into a nightmare, a world where time had stood still for centuries. We began to document everything, taking careful notes and photographs as we explored the surface of the hollow. The further we delved, the more I became convinced that we were on the cusp of something momentous. Little did I know, our discovery would set off a chain reaction of events that would shake the very foundations of our reality. As we delved deeper into our research, we began to uncover a rich tapestry of local legends and myths surrounding the Hollow. It was a place where dark history and supernatural occurrences seemed to be woven together like a sinister fabric. We spoke with old-timers in the community, who shared tales of strange rituals performed on the outskirts of town, and of mysterious disappearances that had left families shattered. Some claimed to have seen shadowy figures darting between the buildings, while others whispered about ancient deities that dwelled within the city's depths. The more we listened, the more I became convinced that the Hollow was a place where the veil between worlds was thin, a nexus of dark energy that drew in the curious and the brave like moths to a flame. We spent hours poring over dusty books and crumbling manuscripts, searching for any mention of the Hollow in local lore. It was as if the city itself was trying to tell us something, a cryptic message hidden within the whispers of the wind. One old-timer, a grizzled soul named Jack, claimed that the Hollow was once home to an ancient cult that had made a pact with dark forces. He spoke of human sacrifices and forbidden rituals, of rituals that had awakened a malevolent presence that still lingered in the shadows. His words sent shivers down my spine as I realized that we were not just exploring a city, we were venturing into the very heart of darkness itself. As I looked at Alex and Maddie, I knew that we were all in this together, bound by a shared curiosity and a sense of adventure. But little did I know, our discovery would soon attract unwanted attention from forces that lurked just beyond the edge of perception. As we ventured deeper into the heart of the Hollow, strange occurrences began to plague us. At first, it was just small things, a faint whisper in the darkness, a flicker of movement out of the corner of my eye. But as the days passed, the events grew more frequent and more intense. We'd hear disembodied voices echoing through the corridors, whispers that seemed to come from nowhere and everywhere at once. Doors would slam shut on their own, and I'd catch glimpses of shadowy figures darting around the edges of my vision. It was as if the Hollow itself was alive, and it was watching us with an unblinking gaze. One night, we set up our equipment in a large underground chamber, hoping to capture some evidence of what was happening. But as we waited, a strange energy began to build. The air seemed to thicken and swirl around us, like a living thing. Suddenly, the lights flickered and died, plunging us into darkness. And then I saw it, a figure standing just beyond the edge of the light, its eyes glowing with an otherworldly intensity. It was tall and gaunt, with skin that seemed to be stretched too tight over its bones. Its presence was like a cold wind, sending shivers down my spine as it regarded us with a gaze that was both ancient and evil. I froze in terror, unable to move or speak as the figure began to move closer, its eyes fixed on me with an unnerving intensity. And then, just as suddenly as it had appeared, the figure vanished, leaving us staring into the darkness, our hearts pounding in unison. We didn't need to wait long for another encounter. As we made our way back through the winding corridors, I could have sworn that I heard a voice whispering my name, a soft, raspy voice that seemed to be coming from all around me. "Find the key," it whispered. "Unlock the door." I spun around, trying to locate the source of the voice, but there was no one there. The words echoed in my mind as we stumbled back through the darkness, a cryptic message that seemed to be leading us deeper into the heart of the hollow. As we ventured deeper into the heart of the hollow, we stumbled upon an ancient chamber filled with mysterious artifacts and relics. The air was thick with dust and the scent of decay, and I could feel the weight of centuries of history bearing down on me. We spent hours exploring the chamber, marveling at the strange devices and symbols etched into the walls. It was as if we had uncovered a forgotten city, hidden away from the world for centuries. As we delved deeper into the chamber, we discovered a series of ancient texts, bound in black leather and adorned with strange symbols. The texts told the story of the Hollow, a place where humans had once made a pact with dark forces, trading their souls for power and knowledge. But as we read on, I realized that the texts were more than just historical accounts. They were warnings, left behind by ancient civilizations to prevent others from making the same mistakes. The text spoke of an ancient deity, one who dwelled at the heart of the Hollow and was said to be capable of granting immense power to those who pleased it. But the texts also warned of a terrible price, one that would be paid in blood and souls. As we finished reading the last text, I heard a faint whispering in my ear, a soft, raspy voice that seemed to be coming from all around me. "You should not have come here," it whispered. "Now you will never leave." I spun around, trying to locate the source of the voice, but there was no one there. The words echoed in my mind as we made our way back through the winding corridors, a chilling reminder that we were playing with forces beyond our control. And then, just as we thought we had escaped, we stumbled upon a hidden door, one that seemed to lead deeper into the heart of the Hollow. We exchanged a nervous glance, knowing that this was a decision that could not be undone. With a deep breath, we pushed open the door and stepped through it into the very depths of darkness itself. As we ventured deeper into the heart of the Hollow, we began to encounter supernatural phenomena that defied explanation. Doors would slam shut on their own, and the sound of whispers seemed to emanate from all directions. We started to feel like we were being herded towards some unknown destination, with no way to escape. One night, we set up our equipment in a large, dimly lit chamber, hoping to capture some evidence of what was happening. But as we waited, the air began to distort and ripple like the surface of a pond. A figure began to take shape before us, its features shifting and flowing like molten lava. I felt a chill run down my spine as it regarded us with an unblinking gaze, eyes that seemed to bore into my very soul. The figure was humanoid in shape, but its skin was a deep, burnished red, and its presence seemed to radiate an otherworldly energy. It spoke in a voice that was both ancient and evil, its words dripping with malevolence. "You have entered this place uninvited," it said. "Now you will pay the price." As it spoke, the air around us began to change. The temperature dropped, and a cold wind seemed to blow through the chamber. I felt my heart racing with fear as the figure raised its hand, and I was suddenly enveloped in a vision of unspeakable horror. I saw visions of ancient rituals and human sacrifices, of forbidden knowledge and eldritch powers. The vision was like nothing I had ever seen before, a kaleidoscope of color and sound that seemed to assault my very mind. And when it finally faded, I found myself back in the chamber, gasping for breath. But something was different. I felt changed, as if I had been forever altered by what I had seen. The figure regarded me with a curious expression, as if it were studying me, trying to understand what I had just experienced. "You have seen the unseen," it said. "Now you will never be the same again." As I emerged from the vision, I felt a sense of clarity that I had never experienced before. The figure's words echoed in my mind. "You have seen the unseen." I knew that I had to unravel the thread of this sinister plot, no matter where it led. I turned to my companions and saw that they were just as determined as I was. Together, we set out to gather clues and piece together the puzzle of the Hollow's dark past. We scoured ancient texts, searched for hidden symbols, and interviewed locals who had heard whispers of the place's dark history. The more we learned, the more sinister it seemed. It appeared that the Hollow was a nexus point for interdimensional travel, a place where beings from other realms could converge and interact with humans. But at what cost? As we delved deeper into the mystery, I began to feel an overwhelming sense of dread. We were playing with forces beyond our control, and it seemed that every step we took led us closer to some terrible fate. And then, just when we thought we had uncovered all the threads of the conspiracy, a new revelation emerged. One of our interviewees revealed that the Hollow was not just a place, but a living, breathing entity with its own consciousness and motivations. It seemed that the Hollow was hungry, and it wanted to consume us whole. I felt a chill run down my spine as the weight of this realization sank in. We had stumbled into something much bigger than ourselves, and it seemed that we were now trapped in a web of intrigue from which there was no escape. We were running out of time. Every step we took seemed to lead us deeper into the heart of the Hollow. We had to find a way to stop it before it was too late. I turned to my companions and nodded. "We need to keep moving," I said. "We can't let our guard down for 1 second." They nodded in agreement, their faces set with determination. We moved swiftly through the winding corridors, our footsteps echoing off the walls. Every now and then, we would catch a glimpse of something out of the corner of our eye, a shadowy figure lurking just beyond the edge of perception. But every time we turned to look, there was nothing, just empty space. I felt a shiver run down my spine as I realized that we were being herded towards some unknown destination. "Where are we going?" one of my companions asked, her voice barely above a whisper. "I don't know," I replied, "but we have to keep moving." We pushed on, our hearts pounding in our chests. The air was thick with tension, and I could feel the weight of the Hollow bearing down upon us. Suddenly, we heard a faint whispering in our ears. It was soft at first, but grew louder by the second. "Turn back now," it said, "while you still can." We exchanged nervous glances. What was going on? Who or what was behind this haunting voice? But before we could answer, the whispering stopped. The silence that followed was oppressive, heavy with foreboding. And then, without warning, a door slammed open in front of us. "This way," it seemed to say. We hesitated for a moment, unsure of what lay ahead. But something compelled us forward. We stepped through the doorway and into the unknown. As we stepped through the doorway, I felt a sense of trepidation wash over me. The air seemed to thicken and grow colder, like a physical presence that was suffocating us. My companions exchanged nervous glances, their faces pale with fear. We had come this far, but now we were truly in the heart of the Hollow. The darkness seemed to pulse around us, like a living entity that was watching our every move. I fumbled for my flashlight and turned it on, casting a weak beam of light into the void. But even its pale glow couldn't penetrate the crushing gloom. We moved forward, our footsteps echoing off the walls, but with each step, the danger seemed to grow. The air grew thick with an unseen presence, like we were being herded towards some unknown fate. I could feel it watching us, waiting for us to make a wrong move. And then, suddenly, we heard the sound of running water. It was distant at first but grew louder by the second until it became a deafening roar. We exchanged fearful glances. What was this? A river? A waterfall? I didn't know, but I knew we had to keep moving. The roar grew louder still until it was almost deafening. And then, in an instant, we were through it. On the other side, the darkness seemed to swallow us whole. We stumbled forward, blindly feeling our way through the void. But there was no light, no warmth, no comfort, just endless darkness. And then I heard my name. As I stumbled forward, blindly feeling my way through the darkness, I heard the voice again. This time it was closer. I could feel its breath on the back of my neck. Suddenly, a figure loomed in front of me, its eyes glowing with an otherworldly light. I tried to scream, but my voice was frozen in my throat. The figure reached out and grasped my arm, its grip like a vice. I felt a surge of adrenaline as it pulled me closer, its face inches from mine. And then I saw it. A twisted, nightmarish visage that seemed to be made of pure malevolence. Its eyes burned with an inner fire that seemed to sear my very soul. I tried to push back, but it held me fast. The figure leaned in closer, its breath hot against my ear. "You should not have come here," it hissed. "Now you will never leave." I felt a wave of terror wash over me as the figure began to laugh. It was a sound that seemed to come from beyond the grave, a sound that shook me to my very core. The other members of the team were screaming now, their voices echoing off the walls. They had found us and they were not human. I knew then that we were doomed. We would never escape the hollow. The figure's grip on my arm tightened as it pulled me closer still. I felt myself being drawn into its eyes, sucked into a vortex of madness and terror. And then everything went black. We were trapped in the heart of the hollow, with no escape from the horrors that surrounded us. I could feel my sanity slipping away, thread by thread. The figure that had captured me still held me fast, its grip like a vice. But even as it laughed and reveled in my terror, I saw something flicker in its eyes, a glimmer of recognition, a hint of surprise. And then, in an instant, it was gone. The figure's mask of malevolence slipped away, revealing a face that was familiar. It was the face of one of our own team members, but how could this be? I stumbled backwards, my mind reeling with confusion and horror. The other member of the team stood before me, its eyes vacant and soulless. And then, in a voice that was not its own, it spoke. "I am the source of the evil," it said. "I am the one who has been pulling you all towards this place." I felt a wave of understanding wash over me. It was not just a figure, but a doorway to something far more sinister. The team members' eyes flashed with a malevolent light, and I knew then that we were doomed. We had unleashed something ancient and evil into the world, and it would never be silenced. The last echoes of our screams were drowned out by the sound of my own mind shattering. I was consumed by an eternal darkness, one that would haunt me for all eternity.